Okay. Well, hello, Rob, and I'm so honored to be interviewing you today for this, just getting to hear about your experience of working together. And so, for those of you who are watching this, this is Robert. He is a night shift manager at a distribution company, and we've been working together over the last 5 weeks, and we're just going to explore what like we've done in 5 weeks.
Yep, exactly.
So, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for being willing to share. I appreciate you.
Yep, you're welcome. Glad to be here.
Yay, awesome. Okay. Well, yeah, would you share just kind of like what was going on before we met, before we started working together? Like what was going on in your world and what drew you into doing this work together?
So before starting to working together, I had recently gone through a breakup that had completely kind of emotionally and mentally broken me. I was at my lowest point. I felt like I was having panic attacks almost every night, ugly crying, just couldn't feel like I could get myself off the ground. That started affecting me physically and at work. I was irritable and like just affecting all aspects of my life to where I knew I needed to make a change. Um and just like the clouds opened up, there was an ad um on TikTok for you, and you were going through um attachment styles and like reclaiming yourself and reclaiming your power, and literally every bullet point you hit was like, yep, that's what I need. Yep, that's what I need. Yep, that's what I need. But it's also what I knew inside and finally decided for myself that I wanted. Like I wanted to put in
Mm,
the time and work
mm,
to reclaim all that about myself. And pretty sure it was like, being that I work nights, it was 2 a.m. when I saw that ad, and I submitted an application to do an interview with you at 2:31 a.m. in the morning just to get started. Cause like, no, I want this as soon as possible. So
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for being so raw and real and vulnerable because, anyone who watches this is going to feel a little bit less alone knowing that they're maybe not the only ones that
mhm,
going through what you were going through and experiencing what you were experiencing. And
yeah.
um yeah, and so yeah, you mentioned you felt like you were having panic attacks, anxiety was high, trouble sleeping at night.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and like where would you say kind of your headspace was? Like were you like overthinking a lot or um
100% overthinking.
mhm,
That from being potentially a former anxious attachment style, I would be up, I wouldn't sleep, and my mind would just be creating storylines in my head that
mm,
were true, maybe weren't true, and then it
mm,
would just spiral further and further down until it almost felt like I didn't know what the truth was anymore.
mm,
And that just kept me constantly overthinking about any and every scenario, and to where I couldn't concentrate on even being a dad at that point. Like I was,
mm,
even when I
yeah,
had my son, I would be feel like I was curled up in a ball and I wasn't present for him as well during that time in my life either. So
yeah, yeah. It's like your brain was like hijacked by this like
yes.
rumination, chatting nonstop. Like, yeah. Um,
Mhm.
yep. Did you, I don't know if I forget if you said you experienced this, but so many people do of like it's like they're like having a conversation with their ex, but their like ex isn't even there. It's just like this conversation in your head about like what you might say or what you
Mhm.
should have said or yeah. Yeah.
Constantly overthinking about previous conversations I'd had with her, future conversations that I wanted to bring up, but I was too afraid to bring up with her,
Hmm.
because either I didn't want to know the answer, or I didn't want to be wrong or right. So it was definitely a like I was always wanting to be the people pleaser
Mm,
in the relationship. And so I
mm,
was also filling in gaps where I didn't necessarily need to, emotionally, physically, all of the above.
right,
Um,
right.
and it just constantly weighed on me and made it to where at some point I was looking in the mirror and I didn't even realize, like, I didn't recognize who I was looking at anymore.
Mm,
I kind of just point in my life where I just kind of felt like an empty shell and I didn't know which way was up or which way was down anymore.
yeah.
All because I was overthinking about one person.
One person.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That you deemed pretty quickly just like actually wasn't a match for you for the
Hmm.
long run.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I forget when we had met, were you still sort of thinking like maybe there's hope, but
Yep.
no, like this person isn't, it was kind of like this like push and pull battle a little bit of like maybe it could work, but like maybe I deserve better and maybe that's not right. There was sort of this
Yeah.
kind of
There was a push and pull with that 100% where, and maybe it was more so on my end that I was just hoping that, like, okay, there's still something there that she still might come back. Um,
hmm
there's still a chance that we could work out. Um, but it would have just been me holding out for nothing, like at this point. And so, it was just a lot of hypotheticals in my mind and breadcrumbing by her, like, okay, maybe there's still something there. And so, also with her giving me almost false hope at times, just
Mm-hmm.
kind of feeling like I was just being kept on the hook just enough that I wasn't going anywhere,
Right.
but
Right.
I was just miserable.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. And to make matters worse, the plot thickens. You worked with her. It wasn't
and
like you
still
could just,
do.
yeah, and
Yeah.
still do. And it wasn't like
Yeah.
you could just like go no contact with this person because they're around in your life and at your place of work. And
Hmm.
yeah. So, yeah, I would imagine, yeah, even at work, like you, of course, you're like seeing this
Yeah.
person every day.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
It
Um,
didn't make it any easier, that's for sure.
right.
So,
Yeah, yeah. And so before we started working together, like even at work, there was like this kind of going round and round in your head about stuff and her and seeing her and then driving home after work and thinking about her and
yeah.
yeah, just
And just
like
hoping, like, well, maybe she'll just like show up at my front door and things will be better. And then, like, getting mixed signals at work to where, like, she'd want to talk, but then she'd be like, I don't want to talk at work anymore. And so, like, I was constantly having to battle, like, okay, what kind of a day is it going to be? Like, I'm not trying to push anything, but it was just a walking on eggshells type feeling too, and
mm,
trying to still accomplish and be productive at work while walking on eggshells.
yeah, yeah, seriously. Yep. So that was that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was that. And we can confidently say together that that is all history.
Yes.
That there hasn't been a panic attack or even like the maybe thought of one like since we first spoke five
Hmm.
weeks ago. And so will you share a little bit about like what are you experiencing now? Um, what's life like now for you?
So life now is, and it's hard to explain. Like, I didn't think in this short amount of time I would feel this way, but it's become a complete 180. Um, and this is coming from someone who watches testimonials and everything. Is like, okay, yeah, that worked for this person, but would never work for me. And
Yeah.
it was after reading testimonials from, um, clients on your website that they were dealing with the same things as well. And it's like, okay, this is what I want to try to do. And, all the exercises that you've given me, um, have helped honestly reclaim like my self worth, my happiness, um, just the the power I feel over my own decisions anymore too. And it's not just in um, with dealing with the breakup, but with stress and anxiety at work, and with building connections with new people that I didn't expect to be able to do or want to do because I
Mhm.
was still hanging on to my ex, or the thoughts of my ex, or the
Yeah.
desires of my ex. Um, and now I'm going out and getting back to activities and routines that had previously brought me joy. And um,
Yeah.
we kind of talked about it earlier today, but being able to like feel like I can see myself back in the mirror for the first time in maybe like 20 years, and just being like, oh, there you are. You've been there all along.
Yeah.
And just that feeling of happiness at seeing that reflection back in the mirror again.
Yeah. Yeah. And you got to tell the movie analogy because it's too good.
No, we were talking about movie Hook with Robin Williams, and he's going down the line of the Lost Boys, and they're trying to see if the old man is really the Peter that they once knew. And the one character grabs Robin Williams by the face, is like, "Oh, there you are, Peter." It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
Robert, there you are. You've been there all along, even though you
Yeah.
haven't felt it or seen it yourself." So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so what are you seeing and experiencing like what had you been feeling emotionally and now like because it's really it's like it's you that you're feeling that
mhm.
you're present to like the emotions and what you're feeling in your body and your mind and your heart. So like what had you been feeling and then like what are you feeling now?
So previously, like, I would hold on to anything and everything that was said to me. So
Mm.
someone, um, I'll just try to use an example too. Like, my ex would tell me like, "Oh, she's going out with her friends or something," and I would hold on to that. Or someone would tell me that they were having a bad day, and I'd hold on to it, or put me down in any way, and I would just hold on to that thought and that feeling and that emotion that it would bring up, and I wouldn't let it go.
Mm.
Um, and through working with you and the different exercises you've had me work through, it doesn't if it doesn't positively impact me, then figuring out ways to let that go and let that not affect you, whether it was your absorb and redirect exercise, or you don't like this about me, so what? Then I
Yeah.
don't have to throw it back on the person that said XYZ, but
Mm.
they can have whatever thought or feeling they have about me, but it's not going to take away from the person that I am myself. And just throwing it on the ground, or we always use the example of shooting an arrow off into the distance, is like,
Hmm.
take that thought or that emotion and just watching it sail off into the distance, because it's not going to affect me, and I'm not going to let it hold on to me anymore.
Right.
Um, and now, you know, I mean, as early as this past week, someone was frustrated with me at work and didn't like something that I had to say, and I didn't let that affect my mentality or my mood the rest of the day, because it didn't positively impact myself.
Yeah.
And being able to bring that same sense of power and self worth to my employees um, has created even a more positive work environment for myself and my employees, kind of preaching some of the things that you've helped me with, bringing that to my employees as well. So,
Yeah. Seriously. So it's
mhm.
like, you came here because you wanted to get over your ex and feel
Yeah,
at peace and like reclaim yourself and your peace and your power and yeah and move into secure attachment style ways of thinking and being. And it's like now you're like cool, but like my whole life at work is also
yeah,
transformed and I'm like able to
yeah.
apply everything that we learned there over here.
Hmm.
And now I'm going to be able to do that here, like parenting or like in my friends and family or
Yeah,
in my new dating life or
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. You
Yeah.
had to slide that one in there too.
That's just too fun.
Yeah. And so like where Erica was alluding to, like um, in 5 weeks, where I never thought I'd be over my ex or even have the desire or want to talk to anybody else. I shared with her today that I've gone on a date, 2 dates with someone over the past week, and because of things that I've worked with, is probably the most natural first dates, most comfortable first dates I've ever been on that I can remember. Um,
Yeah.
where I'm not questioning, oh, am I saying the wrong thing? I'm not questioning, am I sharing too much? I'm just being 100% authentically me.
Yeah.
And just having that confidence in my own self worth, um, it was liberating. And I can't even explain like like actually using the word, how happy that made me. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
so good. It's almost as if you're out of your head and you're just like
Hmm.
present with the person. Like you're
Yeah.
just actually out here in the world living your life, like not in here, like
Hmm.
trying to feeling like you need to protect yourself
Yeah.
from
100%.
something.
100%.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, like it sounds like just, from what you've shared is like you used to go in kind of like with some armor on and like a little bit more
Hmm.
reserved and I'm like not gonna fully show you myself because what if you don't like me? And now you're just like armor off, open
Yeah.
heart, like here I am
Yeah.
and take me or leave me, but this is me.
Yeah. And that's how it really was. Like, and not just with my ex, but with previous people in the past, is where, yeah, it felt like I had to keep my armor on and keep my guard up. And I was overthinking, what if they don't like this about me? Okay, I'll put a piece of armor on to hide that. And what if they don't like this about me? And now it's like, okay, it doesn't matter if they don't like this about me, because it's not going to change. That's who I am. So the
Yeah.
armor is coming off and revealing who I am underneath. And it's, it sounds like almost stereotypical to say, but it does feel, and I never personally thought I would feel this way or be able to say it honestly. It's like, it feels like all this weight is finally off my shoulders and off my chest, and I can just enjoy my time alone, which I never thought I'd be able to say. I can enjoy time with my son. I can enjoy time with this new person that like to see what time has in store for that. But there's none of the anxiety of the what ifs lingering in the back of my head right now. I'm just
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in the moment. I'm present. That's the biggest thing. I'm in the moment, and I actually feel like I'm present with myself, with my son, and in life in general. And it's
Yeah.
something I haven't felt, like I said, in 20 plus years. And I shared with you that it's almost like being a kid or being a teenager again. It's like, oh, this is what I've been missing about the self that I've hidden away for so long. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, seriously, like what a full transformation. That you're blowing my mind. I didn't know you
yeah,
hadn't really been, like feeling like you connected to you and feeling this way in like 20 years.
yeah.
But it's like even from the first time we met till now, it's like you even like look differently. You like hold yourself differently. You smile
Hmm.
differently. Like your whole
Yeah.
energy is just it's open, it's
Hmm.
relaxed, it's at ease. Um,
Yeah.
there's like that
Definitely not a
humor.
Yeah, definitely not a paid actor, that's for sure.
Oh my
No,
gosh,
no
yes.
disclaimer at the bottom of the screen, and that's the
Yeah.
like that was from the first session we did together. There was an exercise you had me do,
Mhm.
and it made me laugh. And I was like, after the session, I was like, I haven't laughed in 3 months, and I'd been with someone that I thought that I loved before that, and I'm like, I don't know if I laughed with that person. Like, I don't know if they
Mm,
made me laugh, and it was an exercise that one is not one that I would like do on my own, but I remember like after the session was over, like texting you, like, hey, that was the first time I've laughed in like 3 months, and like thank you for that because that's just that little bit like brightened the light of hope that I have. Like, okay, no, this has traction, this can work and will work just
Yeah.
because of that little like ball of light right there. Um, and that's also one thing that was like encouraging, refreshing, and everything about you is that like you would send midweek check-ins, and I'd never had that from anyone in the past.
Mm,
And
mm,
like having those midweek check-ins, even if it was just like, hey, here's a podcast I want you to listen to,
mm-hmm.
like cool, like yeah, I'll listen to that. Everything was beneficial and like
Mm.
aligned with the end goal. And I know I've made this amount of change in 5 weeks. It's just like you and I have talked about. That's not the end of the road. There's still things that I know I want to work on in other
Yeah.
aspects of my life, not just with the relationship, but yes, of course, build on that and having gotten over my ex and building a secure attachment style, but also what that means with um, how family affects um, health and happiness and reclaiming self-worth and power and happiness and you know interactions with people in the real world other than relationships, and all the
Yeah.
little things that go together to make a full pie of someone being happy and healthy and just live a full like happy and fulfilled life.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So cool. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean it's amazing, right? Because so you came to get a specific problem
Yeah.
solved. Like I want
Yep.
to get over my ex. I want to stop with the panic attacks. I really don't want to feel anxious and overthink anymore. I want to be able to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
I want to like stop like right, we worked on reducing and clearing desire
Hmm.
and like attachment to like needing your ex in the future and or building a future with them. And it's like those two things dropped really fast.
Yeah.
It's like you're like, yeah, like I don't need that person to build this like bigger and better, like beautiful, fulfilling life. Like I can still have the vision of like connected, conscious partnership, but I don't
Yeah.
need them to create that, you know.
Correct.
In
Yeah.
fact, there's like way better people, way better matches out there that would like are much more aligned with you. They,
Yeah.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that was even one thing that we worked on too, is just I wanted to be comfortable being alone. Like I knew that in order for me to be happy with anyone else in the future too, I needed to reclaim myself and be comfortable and happy just being on my own,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
understanding myself. And that's been a big area that we've worked on as well. Because if I'm not mentally, emotionally, and physically happy and healthy, how can I bring that to anybody else as well? So,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
now, like I said, now I've gone on 2 dates with someone that I didn't expect to meet. So we'll
Right.
see. Yeah. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And just like mentioned like going alone to the painting class and just like having a
Hmm.
good time. Um,
Yeah.
even though you said everybody in there was like coupled up and it was like,
Yeah.
okay, but even that wasn't like so bothersome to you. You're just like, oh,
Right.
cool. I'm
Right.
just gonna like I enjoy painting and
Yeah. And that's
whatever.
like finding activities that I used to enjoy doing on my own that I'd gotten away from. And so, and like people at work are noticing a difference, and my son is noticing a difference in my mood and my mentality. And
Yeah.
like, and that's some of the things that mean the most to me are my son. So
Yeah. Of
that's
course.
always been exciting.
Of course. So cool. Yeah.
Hmm.
Ooh, okay. Um, so I I'm curious if there's any specific tools or exercises that you remember that made a difference for you.
Any and all of them, but like specifically, like um, kind of like the redirect exercise that
Mm,
we've done, or the one that made me laugh for the first time,
yeah.
where it was just all about if, I'm sorry, my screen fogged up again. I
All
apologize.
good.
Um, but just, you know, as simple as where a can is located on the desk and not letting that affect me and being like, so what? Like, as if, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
it still feels silly
Clueless.
saying that, but, and just the references that you brought to the table to help me as a visual learner be
Hmm.
like, okay, I can picture Cher from Clueless saying as if and throwing
Yeah.
something to the side. Like that's what I need to do with those negative thoughts that I'm having
Hmm.
because they're not affecting me in a positive way. So just shoving them to the side or um, the breathing exercise to help lower my anxiety, where you worked on helping me find basically my happy place with
Yeah.
the colors and smells and sights and sounds that I can visualize in a split second and being able to take all that anxiety and negatively impactful thoughts and shooting my arrow off into the sunset to where they're not affecting me anymore.
Right.
Um, those made some of like the biggest changes for me. And then introducing me to the thought model and being able
Hmm.
to write
Hmm.
out my different thoughts and the feelings and emotions that are elicited from those thoughts and
Yeah.
basically putting it back on me and saying, okay, here's the feelings and thoughts that you have right now. What are what are your desired thoughts and feelings
Yeah.
on this subject matter, and how can we redirect that using the thought model? And I'd never learned a whole anything about that before, and that being able to see it visually on paper, like, oh yeah, some of this stuff is super. I don't even know why this is bothering me.
Yeah.
But it's
Right.
not until you like write it out and explain it to yourself or can see it, or the way you guided me through thought model and still guide me through thought model
Mhm.
um, makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about reclaiming some of your peace,
Yeah,
right? You're like,
yeah,
wait, well, I'm looking at these thoughts, and these thoughts are creating these feelings, and these feelings create actions, and actions create results. And
hmm
okay, wow. And for those of you listening who don't know about the thought model, it's a tool where we look at there are all sorts of circumstances out in the world, all these facts, right? And uh, I'm sure we did a couple on a fact is just like my ex, right? That's just a fact.
hmm
And then we look at, okay, well, what thoughts are you having about that person? And then we look at how your thoughts create
hmm
feelings, create your state, right? And then when you're feeling a certain way, you do something. And then when you do something, that creates a result in your life. And so
hmm
yeah, I mean, it's really looking at like, okay, wow, like if all of the results in our life are created by how we're thinking, then we really want to be curious about how are we thinking about this? And are those thoughts, who
hmm
cares if they're true or not? Like, are they useful for um just my life,
right.
Yeah. So cool. Yeah, thank
Exactly.
you for sharing about those.
Yeah,
Um,
of course.
yeah, yeah. So the thought model and the absorb release, yeah, clearing some of those intrusive thoughts, anxiety, any ruminating thoughts, just like, nope, we're not doing that today. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, cool. Um, and is um is there a specific breakthrough or like aha or shift that just kind of stands out to you, like something where something just clicked and it made a difference for you that you'd like to share about?
Um, I think for me, it's really kind of random. Sorry, my AirPods just died.
Okay, no worries.
So I have to edit this part out. I
That's
apologize.
all good. I like the
Uh,
realness. We'll keep it.
yeah. Um, so one of my aha moments was actually fairly recently where
Mhm.
um it was really one of those moments where my ex and I, being that we worked together,
Yeah.
um, was talking to me about what she was doing with her new boyfriend this weekend, and I just like chuckled about it, and I was just in my head. I chuckled about it. I was like, okay, this isn't affecting me at all. Like, you definitely got over me a lot faster than I got over you. You moved on a lot faster, and 5 weeks ago, that alone would have broken me.
Mhm.
And now she's having conversations about her new boyfriend with me, and I'm just like, okay, cool. And then I just go
Yeah.
on about my job, and I'm not like, oh, I really still miss her and all this stuff. I'm just like, well, no, that's good for you. It doesn't affect
Yeah.
me. Um,
Right.
and that was a huge aha moment. I was like, oh, is this what it's like to be over my ex? Yeah, it's actually a pretty good feeling, very empowering, and like, okay, I'm over my ex. So
Yeah. Oh my God. Seriously. And I mean, that's just so cool. Thank you for sharing that little anecdotal story there of just like, oh my God, like I'm actually, this really doesn't bother me. I'm unbothered, unfazed. It's just like talking to any other coworker, like, oh, cool, yeah, go have fun with your boyfriend this weekend, whatever.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yep. So that's power. There. What a cool aha that yeah. And on that note, because like we've done a bunch of work together in a short amount of time and we're still building from here, but like people say with breakups and heartbreak and stuff, sometimes they say like, oh, time is what's gonna heal it. It's gotta like a bunch of time has to pass. And you've kind of like proved that wrong here. That it doesn't, you don't have to wait a whole long time. It's just you got to practice and have the right tools. Like anything you want to say about that saying that people
yeah.
say?
I mean, all of my friends were saying the exact same thing, like, "Oh, you'll get over her. It just takes time. It's gonna hurt and all this stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, I get that, but I feel like it shouldn't be affecting me as much as it is."
Yeah.
And um, the tools you've given me, like, I would have guessed it would be I'd be moping around Christmas, still like
Mm,
desiring my ex, and we're not even to Halloween yet. Um,
yeah. Yeah.
and I'm secure and happy and healthy, and it's because of like knowing what I wanted to do is I wanted to get over my ex in order to reclaim my power and reclaim my happiness. Um, and it's been leaps and bounds lowering that desire and that want for her until I was fully over her in to 5 weeks.
Yeah.
But it's also because um, I've really utilized all the exercises that you've
Hmm.
given me, and I've practiced them. And
Yeah.
um, because of that, I know that's what's helped in 5 weeks, probably almost a little bit less than 5 weeks, fully get over my ex. And
Yeah.
like I said, I didn't expect to go on a date or feel ready to go on a date till I was like, I probably never want to go on a date again after this. And
Right.
now I have, and it wasn't planned. And um, yeah, it was definitely put in the work with the exercises and practice. Makes it sped everything up, but I was still able to hold true to myself. Like we weren't just putting band-aids
Yeah.
on an open wound that was gushing blood. It was truly going into what kind of created the problem, going back just to my medical days, but like putting the sutures in, doing the rehab to heal the injury,
Hmm.
to be back out on the practice field again, like
Right.
actually getting to the root of the issue and healing rather than just putting band-aids on something
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
pretending like it's okay.
Right. Yep. Yep. We're not in the business of pretending.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
around here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we weren't like bulldozing over the very real emotions you were having. We were just solving for the root of those emotions and
Mm-hmm.
healing it there. Um, so yeah. It's oh, what a relief. What a
Yeah.
relief to know
Yeah.
that it doesn't have to like take a whole bunch of time. It takes practice and the right tools and going to the root and healing it at the root. And you know, you were the one
Yeah.
who put it, you were the one who showed up here and said yes to yourself and put in the work and put the tools to practice and put on your hat of openness and curiosity. Like, okay, like, you know, what does Erica have to offer?
Yeah.
Let's just try it all on and see what works, see what
Yeah.
fits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, so good. Yep. Amazing. Um, and the other thing too that's cool is that you're not like, because some people, I say that there's like a difference between moving on and actually like truly healing and then moving forward. Because like some people like move on and they like break up and then they just like
Mm.
rebound and like try to get into another relationship to kind of avoid the pain and whatever. But then they're in the new relationship and they're still thinking about their ex. And then they feel like guilty because they're like with this new person. It like can be this messy thing of just like moving on without doing the actual healing work. And so that's what I see that you were able to do is like we actually
Hmm.
went in, did the stuff so that you're not like on a date, but then like comparing them or like wishing really you were with this other person or whatever. It's like none of that's going on. Yeah. Yeah.
And it's actually funny you bring that up. Um, because on my first two dates with this girl, my ex, I didn't realize it until you just said that. My ex didn't cross my mind like 1 millisecond at all. I didn't see my ex in this girl. I wasn't thinking about, oh, here's what my ex would have done. Like there was no thought about my ex at all. Um,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
in itself is like another little light bulb moment. I was like, holy, I didn't even think about that. So
So cool. And I didn't even know that till just now. So that
yeah,
is so cool. It's so cool. I
yeah.
mean, yeah, that again, that just goes to show you were actually out in the world and present with that person, you know, curious about learning about her and just like being yourself, just like you said that word liberated, just like free to be me, like
Hmm.
not having to overthink every sentence before I say it, questioning if she's going to like me or not. It's like, oh, here I am. And like, what about you? I'm curious about you over there. Going on in your world?
Yeah,
Yeah. So, wow. Living in the present, not living in the past.
yeah.
Hmm.
That definitely is a different feeling for me. So
Yeah. So good. So cool. Well, anything else that you want to speak to or share with anyone who might be listening to this just to inspire them or let them know what's possible?
I mean, for me, like I kind of said a little bit, is I've always my entire life been one of the like almost a negative thinker, and so like I'd see um advertisements for therapy and what people had to say about their own experiences and would be like, okay, it worked for them, but it would never work for me.
Hmm.
Um, I was a 100% proven wrong by all the exercises and all the insights that you gave me. I can't thank you enough for everything that you've done. I know I've put in the work, but you've given me the tools and pushed me out of my comfort zone um, to heal. And that's because
Hmm.
I wanted it, but you
Yeah.
made it possible. But yeah, anybody out there that's dealing with a hard breakup or the loss of a loved one and just feels like there's no picking yourself up off the ground from it, um, there is hope. Um, Erica, like I said, she checks on me sometimes midweek, not because she has to or she said she would. She just finds an interesting article or a podcast that fits what we're working on and sends it straight to me. And just having almost having that guardian angel in your back pocket, knowing that there's someone there that actually legitimately cares about what you're going through and is willing
Mhm.
to take the time and take the effort to help find the root of the issue and help you heal. Um, that in and of itself was weight off my shoulder, knowing that I've finally felt like I had someone in my corner that I hadn't had before. So yeah,
Hmm.
she's made my life 1,000 times better in 5 weeks, and I'm excited to keep working with her to see what that takes me and let her in on all the little victories and have her help me celebrate those. What may seem like small victories add up into huge leaps and bounds. Uh, I couldn't be happier that I came across her ad, like I said, at 2 o'clock in the morning, randomly scrolling through TikTok because I couldn't sleep and I was just mindlessly scrolling. And Erica pops up. I'm like, okay, this is the sign, and this is exactly what I'm looking for and what I need in my life. So
So good. God bless TikTok. Seriously, it's so social media is
yeah,
amazing like that. That
it
like
works.
it
So
does. It does. And I mean that's where pretty much like everyone finds me there. And they're sometimes like they show up to the consult and they're like surprised. They're like, this sounds kind of weird, but I found you on TikTok. And I'm like, oh no, everybody finds me on TikTok. It's cool. Yeah. There's good stuff on TikTok.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I
for
mean,
sure.
even just like going to your TikTok and listening to you talk on different topics, like I would do that. And it's like it's not like I said, it's not just the breakups that you help people with, and it's all aspects of life. And then it turns into, okay, well, this can impact this area and this area, and then it turns into more than just one small issue that we started on.
Yeah, right. Totally. And that is the common theme. It's like we got to get this solved for you so that you can like move forward and like build this big beautiful life that you're meant to live and that you deserve to live and have like that partnership that is the Hallmark movie
Yeah,
ending and like be like that is it's cool that you're reflecting that because that is like so my mission that like we gotta like relieve I'm like we gotta relieve the heartbreak so that we can you can be set free and have learn the tools that you need to grow and create and yeah like create the a life that's bigger and better than you ever imagined.
yep,
So you're like
exactly.
on your way, smooth sailing. You're like, I have this like image of like once you like throw, oh, it's funny, we were talking about your son with the bowling. It's like now you got like
Yep,
a bowling ball, you send the bowling ball down the alley. Like once it's like going, it's kind of hard to stop the bowling ball. You'd have to like run out, like it doesn't stop, it's just going. And
yep,
that's kind of how I'm seeing you
exactly.
right now. You're like, you're going now. You got that momentum and
Yeah,
strike. Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Totally.
I definitely
Awesome.
don't think I would. I don't feel like I would have gotten there without your help. So thank you for
Mm,
everything.
yes, of course. My pleasure, Rob. My pleasure. Such an honor to spend the last 5 weeks with you. And guess what? We're going to be moving forward and doing more. So I can't wait to have a check-in with you in another 5 weeks. And you're going to be taking over the world.
Yep. Yeah, maybe not, but may have some more fun stories
We'll
for you.
see. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. Good. Well, anything else that you want to speak to or share before we complete?
I think that covered at
Yeah.
least most of it that I can come up with.
Perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I think you nailed it, knocked it out of the park, gave people a really good um yeah, just insight into like, okay, here's some of the stuff that I was going through and here's what's changed. And if I can do it, it's possible for you too. So
Yeah,
thank you for
exactly.
being willing to be so raw and open and real and vulnerable and just it's like, hey, this is life and if you're experiencing it, there's like so many other people out there that are too. And it can just
Yeah,
give people hope that there are solutions and that also that this is like way different than traditional therapy too. For anyone who's like
yeah,
tried therapy and it didn't work. Also, this is technically coaching. I am trained in therapeutic processes, but coaching is like it's so focused on yeah, getting to the root and then also just like let's get be solution focused. And
yeah.
so
And I think that's a good point too. Like just the coaching, like just because sports for me is like you drop the practices
mm,
to put into real world scenarios.
Yeah.
And it's like if you trust your coach and you trust the practice and you trust the process, like it will pay out. Like because
Yeah.
and like I said, I've tried traditional therapy and it's like I just feel like I word vomit everything, and then it's like, okay, well, I'll see you next month. I'm like, okay, cool. And you're constantly giving exercises and things to practice on and things to focus on that I feel like that's what's made the biggest difference as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. Yeah, because then you can like, leave a session feeling energized, feeling like, okay, like something just got done. I'm walking out feeling better than when I walked in. And yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing too is they're being completely honest. There have been like a couple days where I'm like, don't want to jump on this call. I'm just tired. But as soon as I get on and immediately after, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to go.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
energizes me, not like traditional therapy where I would leave traditional therapy sessions and it would be like, okay, well, I need to go take a nap now. Now it's like, cool, I'm ready to go.
yeah.
So,
Let's bring on the weekend.
yeah,
Yeah, perfect.
yep, exactly.
Yep. Well, in the name of that, let's bring on the weekend. What do you say? I say
Yeah,
you kicked butt at being able to like just share again everything, and I appreciate you so much, Robert. Thank you
yeah,
for
no, thank you.
your
Thank you so
time.
much.
Yeah, so good. Cool. Well, I'll see you next week.
Yep, see you next week.
All right. Enjoy your weekend.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.